Well, we've, after yesterday, we've put the Nebraska game behind us, and we're moving on to Arkansas. Quality SEC opponent. They've got a new staff. Obviously, Coach Bielema coming over from Wisconsin, where he did a great job. And again, I think it's a real challenge for our players, obviously going there. But the biggest thing is how we get better as a football team and the standard we set. Obviously, we've got to do a better job of hanging onto the football, not turning it over, and to at least give ourselves a chance. And the bottom line is playing good football. We're doing a great job of playing with energy, enthusiasm, body language. Our guys are playing hard. But at the end of the day, you can't turn it over like we're turning it over and expect to give yourself a chance. And we need to do that Saturday.
Questions?
Defensively, obviously, kind of put in a tough spot there early in the game. What did you kind of come away from? Obviously, Nebraska put up some offense. What was your kind of gauge on the defense?
Well, I thought our defense, for the most part, kept Taylor Martinez in check. And he had a few plays. We didn't give up a bunch of explosive plays. They were going to make their fair share of plays. They're a good football team. They've won 9 or so games over the last 5 years, so they're a good opponent. But we didn't help it out. I mean, there's nothing more deflating than a turnover and then a turnover and a score. And we've done it 3 times in 2 weeks, so we're obviously good at it. That's not, I'm being, silly that way, but I mean, we've obviously got to find a way to run the football, not turn it over, and give ourselves a chance to play. Because our defense has played well enough 2 weeks in a row to keep us in the game. And again, have they made mistakes? Of course they have. But we've played well enough to at least give ourselves a chance.
Those interceptions, were they more of the ball in the wrong place, receiver?
Well, the first one was our split. I mean, for God's sakes, we're 6 yards wider than we should be, lined up. Now, can we correct that quarterback-wise? Of course. Does Ricky have to have a little bit of awareness of where he's at? Of course. Then the second one, obviously, was a throw over the middle that got tipped, and that's always a concern when you throw the ball over the middle of the field. You get a ball tipped, people around the ball. Then the third one was just a misread. The fourth one was a desperation play. That one I don't count. I mean, everybody can count as 4th down into the game. That's insignificant. But the first 2 were ones that led directly to scores, not indirectly, directly to scores. So, but it's, the week before was the fumbling issue. And then this week was obviously we did a better job of protecting it as we are building and trying to set a certain standard. But obviously we have to do a better job of holding on to it.
Mullins came in there late. Is there some possibility of both guys playing here in the near future?
No, I don't see it that way. I mean, Nick is our backup. We needed to play him some. I don't care what age he is, just in case something happened to Allen, because he's our backup quarterback. So regardless of what age he was, red shirt, not red shirt, there's a chance Nick doesn't play the rest of the year. That's just the way it is. I don't know that. There's times you have to make those decisions with freshmen that you have to base on the here and now and not the future.
Arkansas seems to run the ball a lot.
No, it's interesting. I mean, Jim Chaney runs our offense, I think does a great job. You talk about a guy that's, he can change spots. He's a chameleon, man. Last year at Tennessee, they were no huddle and throwing it around and had really good success. And then this year he comes to work with Brett, and they're running what they did at Wisconsin. Smash mouth, downhill, tight end, play action pass, which I was around for many years with Les, and then in the NFL, which is good football. And when you watch them, they play good football. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Whether you're spread, whether the philosophy that they believe in, it's still about taking care of the football and playing good football. And I think they do a great job of that.
The offensive line, did you feel like they got better this week? Or
They did. We obviously didn't have Vincent Brown, so I thought Aaron Reed came in and played it as well as he had played. Hadn't really played a lot here. There were signs of it. Certain guys, maybe not so much, but I thought our communication was better. I think there was a little more resolve with our guys up front. Not to be confused with where we want to be, but I thought our communication was better. Our IDs were not always perfect, but I thought it was better. And I said I didn't know. We're going to continue to improve. Where we're at in the schedule, I'm not sure you'll see it as much as you would if you were with the quality of opponent we're playing.
Holmes leading the teams in receptions right now. How would you characterize his play as a young player?
He's done He's done unbelievably well. I mean, we're frustrated with the fumble 2 weeks ago and the tipped pass. But to ask a guy to come in and lead your team in receptions, coming right out of high school, that's a lot to ask a guy. But he accepts that responsibility, he wants to be a great player. So, and he's gonna continue to get better with his route running, with his ball skills and those things, and hanging on to it.
Brown, is he gonna be out a while, or?
I don't really speak to injuries. We don't have him right now.
Arkansas defensively, what do you see out of them?
Very sound guys, play hard. Obviously, that philosophy came with them from Wisconsin, where they did a great job for a number of years, starting with Coach Bielema, whose background is on the defensive side. So they do a great job of what you don't see on tape is a lot of explosive plays. You see some games where they turn guys loose, but for the most part, they force you to drive the ball. That's a sign of a really good defense. They believe in their philosophy and they don't waver from it. So we're gonna have to do a great job of executing and then finishing off drives with touchdowns.
How has Allen handled, say, things go badly? I mean, is he back at it? I mean, how does he respond?
He's been fine. His personality is great. He lets things roll off his back. He's taken a beating the first 2 weeks. Some of we've put on him because we've thrown it so much, others because of things our opponents have done. But we got to find a way to protect him better and keep him upright because he's obviously been our best offensive player for 2 weeks in a row. Irregardless of the interceptions, he's been our best offensive player.
Ground game, maybe not what you would hope.
Well, that's being really nice. I mean, I've had people say it as nice as they can. It's been terrible. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we haven't been very, obviously schemed it up right. We haven't been able to get the kind of push and the movement or get our running backs to run downhill and protect it. And obviously when you fumble the ball, then you run a little defensive, as we did a little bit this week. But we've got to do a better job, and it starts with us. It starts with us as coaches, our offensive coaches, to devise a plan that gives us a chance to be more balanced and take the pressure off our quarterback. Some of our screen game that we run does take a little bit of that off, but we just haven't been able to get ourselves going in that regard. But that is obviously the biggest challenge we have right now is running the football and not turning it over. And that's obvious. Anybody can see that. That's pretty simple.
Is it up the middle? Is that where the biggest problem is?
Oh, I don't know. If I knew the biggest problem, we'd have it solved. We have more problems just up the middle. Obviously in terms of IDing, obviously in terms of, obviously with what we're doing. I mean, it's naive to not think that there's certain things that we're doing that we have to get better at as coaches and as players, playing more physical. And then certain things that we've got to change to give ourselves a chance to at least take some of the pressure off our quarterback.
I know you don't speak to injuries, but overall health right now, would you characterize it?
We're beat
blank,
up.
but, yeah.
We're hopeful to get guys back, but we're pretty beat up at this point. And that happens when you go play a physical team, but it doesn't matter. I've said this plenty of times. I don't care where you're at. No one cares. So I don't care who's beat up, who lines up. When they line up in the black and gold, we expect them to play well. The fans expect them to play well, and we've got to give ourselves a chance to win and do what they can do, not what they can't do. We're not into excuses. I don't care who it is. Whoever we line up with, then we've got to find a way to score, stop them, and to win the game.
Just kind of look, I know you probably picked apart Sanford. Sanford hung with Arkansas, and one thing that stood out to me is no turnovers, I think, for Sanford. Is that?
They didn't turn it over. Arkansas, it appeared, I couldn't tell through some of the tape whether it came through special teams or whether turnovers. There were times I thought Sanford got the ball in pretty good field position that led to a couple of those scores. For the most part, Arkansas held them in check. I haven't had a chance to really dissect all of it, but you have those games. You have those games where you don't play as well as you'd like, if few things go the other way. And Sanford has been doing a good job the last couple of years and has good players. It's not as if they don't have good players, and they executed a lot of the things they wanted to in the game. But at the end of the day, I'm sure just like Sanford, like us, there are no moral victories. At the end of the day, Arkansas won. And whether it was 56-0, or it was whatever it ended up, 31-20, or 31-24, whatever it ended up, Arkansas still got the win.
Losing streak at 14 now. Is this team looking at it as 0-14 or just 0-2?
It's 0-2. I wasn't here for that, and a lot of our players weren't here for that. So at the end of the day, I can't speak for every player. You know, I can't speak to them. I can only speak to what we are now, and that is we're 0-2, and we're disappointed. It's not where we thought we'd be, but that's what we've earned. We've earned an 0-2, and so we got to fight like heck to not get to 0-3, and that's what we're going to do this week.
At times, you guys have played a lot better than the 0-2 would suggest. How do you keep that, idea out of the locker room that, you're an 0-2 team, but you're better than that, you have more potential than that?
Well, we think that, but I'm not sure that there are times, there are times we've played better than that. And there's times we've played worse than that. Not that you can be worse than 0-2, that's probably silly, but the reality is we've done enough things to look like, did you guys actually spend training camp practicing? But our guys have been great. Their effort, their attitude, their body language, their buy-in has been great. We've got good coaches, we've got good players. At the end of the day, though, if you just start off and say, how do you lose football games? You do it by turning the ball over. How do you win? By not turning it over. So the moment we get to that point, we'll give ourselves a chance to play good football. And I don't think our players are down. Are they disappointed and frustrated? Yes. But at the end of the day, I really believe our players and our coaches believe we have a chance to be a good football team. And I've always believed that we can find a way to get it done. That's my job, is to figure it out. And our job is to keep our guys going, that it's the next week. And we were going to break this season up into 4 quarters. The first 3 games is the first quarter. Right now we're 0-2. We've got 1 game left in this quarter of the season. And our goal is to be 1-2 at the end of that.